So good evening, one and all. We are happy to invite and welcome each one of you for this incredible session, webinar session on the great global economic paradigm. So I would like to welcome Dr. Jebamalai, sir. Dr. Jebamalai is a sustainable development expert with over 30 years of experience in UNIDO, Vienna, where he served in various capacities and eventually retired as a principal advisor to the Director General UNIDO. He has to his credit several degrees with distinctions. He has authored several journal articles, books, and reports highlighting the changing patterns in sustainable development with a focus on economic efficiency, ecological compliance, and social inclusion. He has authored several books. The key few among them are Myths and Realities of East Asian Model of Development, India's Time, Rethinking Development Realities, Intervene to Industrialize, The Poverty of Economic Thinking. A book on his personal life penned by him is titled In Joy and Sorrow. His forthcoming book is titled Ethics in Politics. He has numerous distinctions, numerous awards. He is a gold medalist from St. Joseph's College for the Best Outgoing Student, UNIDO Director General DG Award for Outstanding Performance, Lifetime Achievement Award by various organizations, and the Dynamic Indian of the Millennium by KG and the Auckland-based Indo-New Zealand Business Association in 2018. So let me welcome Dr. Jebamalai sir on behalf of Kerala Technology University, Confederation of Indian Industries and Young Indians for acceleration and over to you, sir. Thank you so much.
May I go ahead?
Can you reconnect again?
Arun, may I go ahead?
Yeah.
Hello.
Balaji, we
Good
are
evening
going
to everybody. Good evening to everybody. I am grateful to the Kerala CII and Kerala Technological University in general and Arun in particular for this great opportunity to interact with you. Can you show my PowerPoint presentation? I am not able to see. Should I reduce it? Okay, I can do that. The title I have chosen is The Great Global Economic Paralysis. I purposely decided to call it Global Economic Paralysis because in techno-economic terms, it is not recession and it is not depression. I will tell you now why. No, I'm not able to move to the next one. Yes. Let me just try to erase certain ambiguities related to the terms economic recession, economic depression, and economic paralysis. Economic recession signifies a dramatic decline in economic activity for 2 consecutive quarters. That means for 6 months. And as you know, the economy, the global economy plunged into a dramatic decline in economic activity for the last 2 or 2.5 months, I would say. So in techno-economic terms, it is not recession, though there are clear indications that it is plunging into recession. It may be prolonged for 6 months. Economic depression entails dramatic decline in economic activity, which is prolonged for, I would say, more than 2 or 3 years, a few years. Take the example of the Great Depression of 1930s. The depression started in US in 1929 and the recovery commenced in 1933. So it is called the Great Depression of 1930s. Then economic paralysis means paralysis is normally caused by sickness, illness. This is precisely what is happening. The global economy is completely paralyzed. and many segments of the global economy are not functioning. I will now give you some evidence. Look at the facets of the paralysis, economic paralysis, dramatic decline in economic activity, significant decline in output, steep rise in unemployment, falling exports, falling imports, aircrafts are completely grounded, vehicles being off the road, many firms are in the cremation ground, and many are in the intensive care unit. And in the intensive care unit, they are all in business coma. And whenever they recover from business coma, they are asking for vitamin M. Then producers, distributors, and consumers are completely locked in. And look at all these things. This is what is called paralysis, completely paralyzed. It never happened uh, uh, previously. Now, just to show you the magnitude of the decline this time, I will just move the cursor. I hope you are able to see. During the 2000 crisis, the dot-com crisis, and that was due to an exaggerated imagination about the growth of the dot-com industry. The global economy suffered a decline in economic activity, but it never reached negative rate. As you can see, it declined from 5% to 2.5%. And all this is the contribution from each region are actually marked in the bar chart. And then during the 2007-8 financial crisis, it went down. It was approaching negative growth rate. It fell below 0, as you could see. And this time it is -3. And the contribution from each region is shown in the bar chart. As you can see, Eurozone made the major contribution to the decline, then followed by North America, Latin America, everything. So this shows the magnitude of the crisis this time. Okay. And then amidst all this, there is a dramatic fall in oil price. Many think that falling oil price is good for the global economy, good for developing countries. It is not at all good. The first oil shock happened in 1973 for the first time when the oil price exceeded $100 per barrel. The whole world was stunned to silence, and the economists started predicting a gloomy picture about the growth prospects for developing countries. By the way, hitherto, no major economic downturn was predicted by any economist, and whatever they predicted after the event went wrong. This is historically proved, empirically, systematically, scientifically, methodically proved. So is the falling oil price a blessing? Not at all a blessing. As you know, 2 weeks ago, and the sellers were giving 37 cents to the buyers. It never ever happened. Because when the oil price goes below $45 per barrel, many Gulf countries cannot even announce the budget. Their budget is normally based on some guesstimate and estimate, thinking that it would not fall below $70 per barrel. And falling oil price is more dangerous than high oil price, because when the oil price remains depressed, what happens? The global market loses the entire Gulf demand for goods and services. Gulf countries are importing food products to the tune of $67 billion. United Arab Emirates alone is importing electronic goods for nearly $27 billion. So falling oil price is no good. And then the expatriate workers who are working there, our Indians working there, they all will get one-way ticket to go home. It will tell upon the inward remittance to India. So low oil price is not at all good for the world economy in general, and particularly for Gulf countries. Okay. And one other thing I want to say about the low oil prices, only after the when the oil price is very low, all that we invested on research and investment and alternate sources of energy may remain a debt investment. Okay. Now, the title, as you know, I have given retrospect and prospects because I want you to know the lessons we learned from the preceding cyclical downturns of the global economy. Let us start with the 1930s the Great Depression of 1930s. American economy plunged into deep recession, leading to depression in 1929, prolonged for 3 years. And at that time, the president who assumed office, Franklin Roosevelt, he said, the only fear we have to fear is fear itself. Then they started pumping more money into the economy through infrastructural projects, getting people empowered in those projects, and arming the people with enough money to translate their desire into want. That means they were trying to increase effective demand. Effective demand means your desire to buy a particular commodity, your want to buy a particular commodity is supported by purchasing power, enough purchasing power. Then it is translated into effective demand. They very strongly believe that by increasing the effective demand of the people, the demand for goods and services can be increased, and then the concerned factories will respond to this. There will be supply response, and then production will go up, and then it will lead to employment and full employment. It really happened. In fact, during the Great Depression of 1930s, Americans treated the American economy as the Keynesian laboratory. John Maynard Keynes recommended the policy of pump priming, pumping more money into the economy. This has implication today. That's why I'm just making a reference. I will come to that later. I will tell you what implication we deduce from the past experience. The 1973 oil shock. For the first time, oil price exceeded $100 a barrel. Economists predicted a gloomy picture about the growth prospects for developing countries. Just the opposite happened. Only after the first oil shock, many countries emerged as newly industrializing countries. I would even say um, the first and second generations of newly industrializing countries, Republic of Korea, Thailand, Taiwan province of China, Indonesia, Malaysia, all these countries emerged as newly industrializing countries after the oil shock. Then it was after the oil shock, first oil shock, we realized the importance of, excuse me, something went wrong. Yeah. We realized the importance of, sorry for the technical snag. Okay. We realized the importance of increasing energy efficiency, changing the pattern of energy. And today we have achieved a lot. I can give you one example. When I was a college lecturer, I used to ride a Lambretta. For 1 liter of petrol, I could cover only 7 kilometers. Today, the energy efficient two-wheelers covers 72 kilometers per liter of petrol. This is all due to huge investment we made on research and innovation into the energy efficiency patterns. The pattern of production changed thanks to the first oil shock. If the oil shock had not happened, we would not have reached this much there. And we are also keeping options for renewable sources of energy, converting water, wind, waste into watts and watts into wealth. And it is proved that waste is not a waste until it is wasted, thanks to the first oil shock. Then the East Asian financial crisis. The East Asian financial crisis was largely due to the high import intensity of export orientation. That means without importing the inputs for producing products for export, they could not accelerate the export drive. Unfortunately, the high import intensity was funded by the short-term lenders. The day the short-term lenders stopped lending, everything collapsed. It is almost like in the film financiers. You know, he give money for 2 months, 3 months, and at a very high rate of interest. And if they start lending, the film industry will collapse. Almost like that. It's almost like the day the short-term lenders stop lending, the high import intensity of export orientation, everything collapsed. That was the reason for this. Then 2000 dot-com downturn. It was all actually due to an exaggerated imagination about the growth of the industry, growth of the service segment. And whenever there is an exaggerated imagination, it is not akin to reality. And eventually what happened, the stock index fell from 400 to 72. So that led to that crisis. And then getting large and get lost is no good. This is the lesson we learned. Then 2007 and 2008, this is a very important sector. During this period, the private sector misbehaved. Again, there was an exaggerated imagination about the growth of the real estate market, the so-called real estate bubble, and the private sector misbehaved. It was not due to inadequate legal framework, complete absence of legal norms governing the private sector activity, complete absence, laissez-faire policy, the famous laissez-faire policy, free for all, and believing that market forces, free market forces will take care of everything. So it was for the first time we lost our faith or over belief on market forces, privatization, deregulation, and liberalization. We learned a lot of hard lessons, and eventually firms, the government started bailing out sick enterprises, and they recovered. Then 2020 is totally a different one. It's a dual crisis. For the first time, a public health related issue is causing a major economic issue. The crisis being global economy, and global economy is virtually grinding to a halt. We all know that. So there is a difference, but we can draw many lessons from the previous interventions made by the governments to stimulate recovery and growth. So implications from the past for the current crisis. So what is the implication? During the Great Depression of 1930s, the American government thought that people should be armed with money and they should buy what they want to buy. Their purchasing power should be enhanced. Then they will. And today what is happening is we are talking about the universal basic income. That means unconditional regular transfer of the minimum money required by the poor people living below the poverty line to buy whatever they want to buy. Basic necessities. I am not talking about comforts and luxuries. And some countries practice, developed countries started introducing the universal basic income, but eventually many abandoned that, thinking that it is not sustainable. They think that poverty cannot be alleviated by charity. Poverty can be alleviated only by wealth creation. Wealth creation comes from a productivity catch-up, engaging people in economic activities, and eventually it cannot be considered as charity forever. So unconditional, but this period can be taken as an exception. And during this period of crisis, when many, particularly daily wage earners, become very vulnerable, when they are penniless, I think introduction of universal basic income in some form or other may be a big source of comfort, and it may stimulate recovery. The first oil shock, as I said, during this period, they invested a lot. Many countries invested a lot on alternate sources of energy, and eventually that helped, and that lesson is still valid now. I used to say WWWW. That means convert water, wind, and waste into watts, and watts into wealth. But when you exploit, when we make the renewable sources of energy, when we exploit the renewable sources of energy, you are not supposed to light poverty. You have to actually eradicate poverty. Use renewable sources of energy for productive purpose, so that it contributes to poverty reduction. So then the East Asian financial crisis, what happened was when the private sector, when the financiers withdrew their support, the government had to intervene. Government had to intervene. In fact, if you look at the role of regional development agencies in developed countries, Wales Development Agency and Scottish Enterprise, these regional development agencies are virtually actually babysitting enterprises. They are helping the firms to thrive in an internationally competitive environment, rendering institutional technical assistance, rendering business support services on the part of the government are very crucial. Otherwise, firms may not be able to thrive in an internationally competitive environment. This is the lesson we learned. The government should emerge as a dynamic entrepreneur, not in terms of owning industrial assets, but in terms of rekindling all sources of new and dynamic growth. Then you have the 2010 grossly over-exaggerated stock. Again, the government had to intervene. Government had a crucial role to play. The same thing was repeated. And what happened in 2007 and 8, bailout was justified. When G20 announced $1 trillion to bail out sick enterprises during 2007 and 8, I used to criticize it. That means I used to say globalization means privatization of profit and socialization of losses. That means when the firms enjoy profit, come and take it and enjoy it. When you incur loss, the government will come and bail out. But now today I realize that even today G20 announced, I would say, $5 trillion total. I think $8 trillion are available for bailing out and helping firms. 7 trillion for actually developed countries and 1 trillion for developing countries. And that turned out to be an unavoidable imperative. The current crisis is totally different from calling for different set of interventions, because in the past, interventions were aimed at stimulating investment and consumption. But today, interventions are actually aimed at stimulating research and innovation. Knowledge is a source, innovation is a force. And this is realized by everybody. We have to be innovative, and because we are now entering a new era of new normal, I would call it new normal, because things are not normal now. As things stand today, they are not normal. But fortunately, people seem to get themselves acclimatized to the new normal. And they are used to the new normal. It appears that they will sustain this style of living, and they will easily get themselves acclimatized to this. So when we get into the new normal, what is needed is a lot of research and innovation, and to thrive in the new normal situation. So the prospects. There are three types of recovery we can visualize. One is V-shaped recovery, U-shaped recovery, and W-shaped recovery. In the V-shaped recovery, what we think by 18th of May, according to some research institute in Singapore, by 18th of May, the curve will be flattened. Assuming, it is hypothetical, assuming that after 18th of May, we will be back to normal, and all the firms will come and start producing and things, and they will get themselves rejuvenated. And you can say that hypothetically, we can say that if everybody is back to normal and get themselves engaged in and the recovery process, it's quite possible that we may witness a V-shaped recovery, sharp rise in the economic activity. This may not happen. To me, it is a utopian aspiration, because I am talking to so many the industrial stakeholders, business stakeholders. Yesterday, I talked with somebody who is producing gloves. I told him that, my God, your products, you must be able to sell your products like anything. I am sure these things are sold like hotcake. And then he said, this is what everybody thinks, but we are not able to do anything, because the supply chain is completely disturbed. Value chain is completely disturbed. Even for promising product areas in this current context, products which are in heavy demand, the producers are not able to produce. They are not able to produce at all, and they are not able to increase the supply response. So when assuming that the crisis will be over by 18th, there is no guarantee that the supply chain and the value chain will be rejuvenated the way they desire. So this may not happen. V-shaped recovery may not happen. Then we move to U-shaped recovery. U-shaped recovery takes a longer time to recover. See, sequencing the recovery is very important, very, very important, given the magnitude of the current crisis. First, we have to address the livelihood. We have to create sustainable sources of livelihood for the most vulnerable segments of the people who are thrown out of job. They may not get their jobs back. So in sequencing the recovery process, we have to give priorities. We have to prioritize. So that will take a long time. So U-shaped recovery may happen. It will take at least 8 to 12 months, even 1 year. So that may commence. And then we talk about W-shaped recovery. This is a very peculiar situation. And we may continue to live in the global virus economy. I will put it like this. Virus economy is a global economy, is a virus economy. There is recurrence of the virus, and there will be frequent intermittent, I would say, opening up and lockdown, opening up and lockdown. So what will happen? Automatically, the recovery process will take a U-shape. And I tend to agree with the statement made by the WHO spokesperson. He said that it may be very difficult to erase the virus. The virus may stay with us for a long time. So we have to change our style of living. We have to change our style of living and make that new style of living totally compatible with our survival despite the virus. If that happens, and I think it is quite possible that this situation may happen, then there will be frequent opening up and lockdown, then we will be exposed to the W-shaped recovery process. And what is new normal? There are 3 L's, I would say. New style of, we talk about life, livelihoods, and living style of living. There's a new style of living. People seem to be content with the new style of living. Nobody is coming out of the house, and they are under mandatory isolation or self-imposed isolation. People don't go to cinema theaters, they don't get into crowds, and there are no big events here. And they seldom go to the shopping mall. They go to the nearby shops by walk just to buy the most essential things. People are content with that. And also people are used to the new mode of working. And it is not applicable to all categories. The so-called work from home may be applicable only to some categories. But I was virtually shocked when a survey reported that even in the IT industry, 99.2% of the staff are not suitable for remote working. I was really surprised. I wanted to know the reason. They cited 2 reasons. Resistance to learn, that is number 1. And then second one is lack of communication skills. To these 2 reasons, even in IT industry, only a small fraction of that. I hope it is not right. I hope. I did not meet any IT expert who is not exposed to conversational language in English. I don't want to quote the the name of the paper which published the survey. It is a bit vulnerable, but I hope it is not true. The new patterns of production, patterns of production will be completely changed. Many activities can be changed very systematically. Take the example of garment production. Garment production is based on cut, make, trim operations, CMT operations. And under CMT operations, they introduce well-defined division of labor, accommodate some 1,500 boys and girls. But maybe they are totally illiterate boys and girls, and they offer 6 months of training. They get used to the division of labor there, and each one will perform only a particular task. One who is cutting the jeans in the S shape, that girl will be doing only that. That's the only job. This can easily be done in the house, at home. And so this is the best opportunity to try to particularly people who are operating in Tirupur, and which is exporting a lot of the garments to other countries. They can try whether this can be subcontracted to households and get the households empowered in this. This is what is called industrious revolution. In fact, before the evolution of the first industrial revolution during the 18th century, what happened was industrious revolution. That means the household sector responded to growing demand for goods and services. And there was no factory, no workshop to produce anything. First, the household sector responded to that. So what is needed today is a neo-industrious revolution, getting the household sector empowered in this. I'm just citing one example. I can give you another example. I know in my own district, the bakeries which are selling cakes and buns and all the biscuits, all these things, they don't run a factory to bake anything. All these things are subcontracted to individual houses. They supply. It's operating very well. The only thing is the household sector should know how to turn out products complying with the international standards and quality control norms. There they require some assistance. technical assistance from NGOs or government organizations or departments or something like that. So this is the type of help we should do. And if industries revolution can be reintroduced in some form or other, and getting the household sector empowered, that will make a major breakthrough in eradicating poverty. And then the new means of selling products and selling products produced by others. Now, I was told that Uber may soon introduce Uber workforce in addition to taxi. So if I need the services of a plumber, I just call Uber and say, so I need someone to come and repair this one, and the service is offered. I think it is going in that direction. As you know, Uber and Airbnb, though Airbnb does not own a single apartment or lot, but they are arranging accommodation for people, millions of people every day, for different categories of people according to their level of income, and every day across countries and continents. But of course, right now it is completely dead. Tourism is completely dead. And this type of so the company does not own a single apartment, but organizing and accommodation for millions of people across countries and continents. The Uber company does not own a single car, but organizing rental cars for millions of people. So the selling pattern is going in that direction, and everything may be in the virtual world, and technological marvels will play a major role in this. So what type of situation is going to arise? What is going to happen is many things will be done in the virtual world. I would call it open innovation and value creation network in the virtual world. If you have the enhanced adaptive capabilities and skills to use modern technology and device and to commercialize new knowledge, you can effectively participate in the global value chain. I can give you one example. Legos. I don't know whether you have heard about the reputation of Legos. The international reputation is upon landing there, you get killed. This is the reputation. I had been to Lagos several times, 17 times. Every time I enjoyed it. It's a fantastic place. You may not believe one guy sitting in his small hut is manufacturing rubber-based non-automotive component for aircraft. He is participating effectively in the global value chain. It's all a matter of enhanced adaptive capabilities and skills to use modern technology and to commercialize new knowledge. Then you participate in the global value chain governed by the virtual world. Okay, next one. And I say, be prepared for the upcoming creative destruction. What is happening now is we are all exposed to creative destruction triggered by disruptive technologies. Disruptive technologies are advanced digital manufacturing, augmented reality, additive technology, and big data management, 3D printer. If each household is equipped with a 3D printer, like the refrigerator, you can just produce whatever you want. You just keep the 3D printer at home and just scan any product and press the button, provided the 3D printer contains all the ingredients required for producing that particular product. This can be done at home. So you don't need a product to be produced by a factory. Anything can be produced by 3D printer. Then 3D printer, then Internet of Things, Internet of Energy, Internet of Services. These things are called disruptive technologies. They actually destroy the old systems. They make the old systems stumble and put us in the world of creative destruction. We have to be part of it. So on hearing all these things, you should not be stunned to silence. I would like to go back to the same statement made by the American president during the Great Depression of 1930s. The only fear we have to fear is fear itself. But of course, this time, it's not fear, it's fever caused by the virus. It's very complicated, but we have to make optimistic claims about our this. Now, a few minutes on the sunset and sunrise industries. I would not call it industries, productive and service activities. I'm just giving you the list. You look at this travel. Travel is sunset. Let us now first look at the sunset productive services and the products, productive activities and service, productive and service activities. Let's put it like that. Travel. is completely gone. Now, it is quite possible that people may not prefer even public transport. This is quite possible. And air travel, I am not able to still comprehend how the world is functioning when all the aircrafts are grounded completely. You go to any country, even to a least developed country like Benin and Niger, once in 30 minutes an aircraft will take off. Developing countries, once in 10 minutes aircrafts take off. We are used to it. Now that is completely done. Tourism is gone. People are hesitant to go there. Then go visit different places. Automobile industry, there are many theories actually. Automobile may be complete, but I have a different feeling. Hereafter, so far, the middle class, upper middle class, and rich people are having cars. Hereafter, even the lower middle class may prefer to have a car because that guy may try to avoid public transportation. In that case, he may not be able to buy a new car. He may go for a second-hand car in good condition. And many people use cars only for 5 years and 10 years. They sell it in very good condition. Cars covering with 20,000 kilometers, and they can their price for second-hand cars are very attractive, and the car is still valid for another 5 years. So people may go for that when the demand for second-hand cars from the lower middle class and the poor also, if it increases, and if loans are available at low interest rate, people may prefer that. Automatically, those who sell the second-hand car will go for new cars. Demand may go. I will not actually call it sunset, but as things stand today, automobile industry is in deep recession. Cinemas, even if you come back to the normal situation, people will be hesitant to go and sit there, even with a mask on your face. I don't think people will feel comfortable to go and sit. Logistics, public transportation, restaurants, luxury products, live sports completely gone. Real estate, the trend may be, according to my assessment, people may prefer villas. The demand for villas may go up and the demand for apartments may go down. And then oil and gas, construction industry, real estate, events, and big events and conference. I was supposed to attend a conference in the beginning of this month, in Dubai, a very big conference on Africa. Dubai created a new department for development assistance like DFID in UK, and they organized a big conference. I was invited as a speaker. Last minute, one day before, it was just cancelled because of it. I am sure there will be many cancellations. Big conferences will not take place. Then let us look at the sunrise productive and service activities. Digital products, as I said, that everything is going to be in the virtual world and we have to be used to it. Then structured knowledge, gig economy. Gig economy means you get paid per task. There is no regular employment at all. You perform a task and for that task you get paid. Stock market investing, actually it's going up. Every day I used to monitor the stock prices. To my surprise, it is all positive, it's going up, unlike the other, because there is a lot of speculation about what will happen after 1 year or 2 years, something like that. Even today, I looked at the stock price. Yes, they are all going up except one market. Everywhere it is going up like anything. It's surprising. Then it's all due to speculation about the possible recovery and growth. Then home gardening will become very normal. People would like to get their own vegetables from their own garden. Online coaching and teaching, it is becoming a big business. You know that I don't have to convince that. Alternate energy, then insurance companies, people would like to prefer everything insured. Then alternate medicine. Alternate medicine, even in Tamil Nadu, I may just give one example. There are some doctors, Ayurvedic doctors and Siddha doctors are virtually trying to say that they have the medicine to cure, and it is not being recognized. But I know it is not. Sometimes it's very dangerous to accept anything suggested by anybody. But it may be useful to review the scientific underpinnings of these medicines. I know we can benefit a lot from traditional knowledge and traditional medical knowledge and medical practices practiced by villages in the remote villages. I can give you one example. I was in Sudan at one point for 3.5 years. In Khartoum, there is a national center for research on medicinal and aromatic plants. You may not believe they invented the essence of A wild plant, the leaf of a wild plant which grows everywhere. You don't plant it, you don't water it, you don't manure it, it grows in spite of you. They discovered that one, and the essence of that leaf from the wild plant can cure the open wound of diabetic patients. For 30 years, this great research finding remains as a debt investment. Then during my period, I tried to dovetail. I thought, okay, to get the product, get the patent, it takes some time. It means you have to spend a lot of time. Then you have to just do a lot of testing, the animal test and doing the clinical test and then a human test, something like that. It's a long process. Then I organized a seminar inviting Saudi Arabia to invest their petrodollar on this and inviting Indian scientists to render technical assistance to get the patents registered and to commercialize. And unfortunately, it is still remaining as a debt investment. I'm giving you one example. It may be worth reviewing the scientific underpinnings of all these traditional medicines. Then healthcare is going to be a very, very important sector. Now, we are talking a great deal about attracting investors. Those many companies may lose China. This is a golden opportunity. Please come on, let us see investments. If you look at the foreign direct investment flow, I cannot think of a single country which does not announce a tax holiday. All the countries are announcing tax holidays and fiscal incentives, but foreign direct investments flow only to selected locations, not even to countries. Selected dynamic industrial locations. 86% of foreign direct investment is flowing to 29 locations in the world. Why? Only these locations encompass excellent infrastructural facilities, good roads, good ports, good airports, and utility services, and enhanced skills to use modern technology and commercialize new knowledge. So only these are all the key ingredients of that. Just because many companies are leaving China does not necessarily mean they will come automatically to India. So I would add one more parameter: healthcare. The healthcare system in a given country. Hereafter, foreign investors will look at that. To what extent the government is involved in creating a very good healthcare. And that is going to be definitely, in addition to excellent infrastructural facilities, utility services, and skills, enhanced skills, the most impeccable health care system may be one of the conditions responsible for attracting foreign direct investment. We cannot afford to ignore that. Affiliate marketing, network marketing. I would say, when I was a student, my teachers told me there are 4 factors of production: land, labor, capital, and organization. But during the course of working for UNIDO for nearly 30 years, I realized that there are new factors of production which are more important than the traditional factors of production. The new factors of production are information, knowledge, technology, skills, networking. The networking is very, very important. The collaborate to compete is the new industrial or business theology. So you have to demonstrate your collective response to withstand competitive pressures for efficiency gains. Then data science, disruptive technologies I already mentioned. Traditional values. People are now, when they sit at home and thinking that suddenly they may be affected by corona, it's quite possible in 2 days or 3 days they may die. People started reflecting on the traditional values and attitudes. This is emerging. I am seeing it in my own family, which is good. So among the sunrise and sunset industries, there may be promising product areas. And hereafter, if the government, during the recovery process, you may ask me, which industry should get the priority? I would say support, prepare first the inventory of promising product areas on the basis of one criteria, that is, the development of that particular product should make an indelible impact on poverty reduction. Then support those industries. Support those industries which are engaged in the production and marketing of the product. I can give you one example: Murunga-based powder, Murunga-based oil, Murunga-based the honey. All these things are sold like hotcakes, and you can just engage poor people to cultivate 1,000 acres, 2,000 acres. Already people are doing it. Highly educated people who are holding coveted positions across the border, they all returned. They came back to their land, came back to the village, and many are converting the land into this. It is being sold like a hot cake now. I'm citing one particular example. So the government support should be to those industries which are engaged in the production of products, and those development of those products should make a big impact on poverty reduction. So thank you very much. And let me just conclude by saying that we are now facing the worst. Let us prepare for the best in the near future. Thank you for listening.